Episode 2643. Welcome to Anabolic August. That's absolutely fantastic. It's Anabolic August. I cannot believe. Let's just recap for a second. I can't believe that it's August already. Is anyone else shocked? It's August already. It's already almost fuck your resolution season. Now I know it's the middle of the summer, but we're coming up on fuck your resolution season. Shocking. So let this be a reminder to get your shit together. If you haven't, if you're still thinking about your resolutions from 2023, well, we're in the 8th month. So fuck your resolutions. Go to the fucking gym. It is Summer Swole, still bumping hard. Go make those gains. Go to the fucking gym. Take care of yourself. But if you are still hitting that wall and you haven't taken that leap yet, it's time for you to join the Swole fam. Head on over to swolenormousx.com, join the fam today, and get started with us with one of our famous programs. We have everything laid out for you. We'll get your nutrition in order with the elimination diet and, of course, the nutrition jumpstart. We have thousands of recipes to help you learn how to cook and make your own fucking food so you're not eating garbage. You're not at the whim of these addicts, aka your family and friends that just want to trash themselves and not take care of their bodies and their health. And of course, we will assist you with over 300 yoga and mobility classes and meditation sessions. We got all your 7 pillars over there at swolenormousx.com. We will take care of that for you. You just got to be ready to put in the work. So if you're ready for us, we are ready for you. Join us, swolenormousx.com. Also, check out some of the brand new drops. Yesterday, we had our accountability meeting, so we dropped some new merch over there at papaswolio.com. Of course, because you're a listener of the show, go to papaswolio.com. Use code Daily Swole at checkout for 10% off your order all day, every day. Again, go to papaswolio.com and use code Daily Swole for 10% off. And last but not least, if you have not yet left us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, take a moment and do so, especially if you watch the show and you don't normally listen on a podcast app. Load up your podcast app and leave us a review anyway. It helps tremendously because not everyone can watch. Some people drive and you shouldn't be watching a show while you're driving, but we can bang your ear holes with knowledge cock no matter where you are. So hit the thumbs up button, leave us a 5-star review on the podcast app that you utilize, and share the podcast with your friends. That also helps tremendously. And if you share the podcast with your friends and they don't want to, if they're like, no, thank you. Are they really your friends? It's a good friends test, right? If you send them the podcast and they're, it's not my speed. Maybe it's time to kick them to the curb. Just saying. That being said, let's get into today's episode. The following program is rated TV MANOC. It contains a big pair of nuts directly on your chin. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
We need fat activism.
Radical acceptance.
Date a fat person.
Perfectly fine to be visibly fat.
Internalized fat phobia.
How about no?
I'm not afraid of fat.
Stop being such a huge fucking pussy.
Go to the fucking gym.
Obesity is epidemic in the United States and a major cause of death.
What is fat activism?
I, a fat person, am sharing my own lived experience.
Pizza is a vegetable.
Your fat phobia is your problem.
It is not my place as a smaller-bodied white man to comment on it.
Radical body positivity.
What can men do against such reckless hate?
There's only one man who can help me.
This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits.
This day we fight!
Swole Normuth.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Testing. Testing, testicles. Welcome, everyone, to episode 26 hundo and 43 of the Daily Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beercast, broadcast, gangcast, mancast, pimpcast, sleazecast, and slaycast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. What's going on, beaches, booshes, busters, hustlers, and yahos? It's your boy Papa Swolio back with another episode. And today's episode of the Beastcast is brought to you, is powered, is sponsored by Everest and K2, flexing on all you beaches.
It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Welcome to Anabolic August. Make sure you go to the fucking gym. Let's jump right into today's episode. What are you smashing today? Drop it in the comments down below. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Let's bust the nut open. Let's get the Falcon to do so. Let's get the card out and have an amazing episode. Drop in the comments. What are you smashing today? Let's fucking go. Falcon. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that thumbs up. Let's fucking go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, yes, sir. All right. Welcome to Anabolic August. Today's swole card is shut the fuck up and go to the fucking gym. And that's a new shirt coming real soon. All right. Shut the fuck up. Go to the fucking gym. Let's fucking go. I'm excited. All right. Oops. Well, we'll get the church there. That's a good one. Marker added. What's that? Marker. Okay, fam. STFU and GTTFG. Drop that in the chat. Welcome. Come one, come all. Very excited. Very excited for today's show. Let's get into that tip. We got a lot to do, and we got no time to waste. Let's make some fucking gains. Babe, just an inch. It's cold outside. Gotta lubricate. We got a couple awesome Swole fan posts. Oh, we got a nice picture from Antonio. We are going to kick it off with our first one from Ana Luisa. The guy man. Ana Luisa says, good morning, fam. So we think my husband may have the beatus because his blood sugar level is around 300 in the morning. Aside from going to the doctor and paying thousands of dollars because he doesn't qualify for insurance, does anyone have any tips on what he can do to lower it? Thanks in advance, fam. Sorry to hear that. What is he eating? You know, everyone's different, but yeah, you got to cut those. In my opinion, not medical advice, but a lot of people have dramatically reversed their diabetes and lowered their A1C and all that stuff. But you got to drop the carbs, get rid of the sugar, vegetable oils, seed oils, exercise, lifting weights, going for walks, getting sun, all the things that we talk about every day. So I wonder what his lifestyle habits are like. Maybe you can give some more insight on that. This is from the Telegram chat, but it's going to come down to the nutrition and exercise habits, you know, but it needs to happen immediately. So sorry to hear about that, but of course, without further context, can't really do much more than just say, get the nutrition in order, but we don't know what he's currently doing. And we talked about this, I think yesterday. Was it yesterday in the audio? I know we had our accountability meeting, but I did put a little swolosophy on the podcast that most people don't really know what they're currently doing. So how are they going to know what to change? And there's a lot of times when I'll get a question. Hey, I want to get abs, or I'm trying to build more muscle, or I'm trying to get bigger legs. What should I do? Well, what the fuck are you currently doing? Well, nothing. Well, you should exercise. You should lift weights. So most people have no idea how to quantify or at all what they're currently doing. So how can I give advice on what to change when I don't know what you're currently doing? Okay. So Anthony says, let's effing grow, flexing my mini pew-pews, but with this badass shirt. Starting week 3 of the 90-day dash. Hashtag go to the fucking gym. Nice swoleopoly.
Yow.
My mini pew-pews. Well, mini pew-pews turn into big boom booms eventually. So stay the course. Stay the course. All right. Carson says, all right. So you all don't think I'm just a whiny boosh. Update on the week. My ankle feels 90% better from the past 2 days. Going to continue taking it easy and probably hold off on legs. Got a new battery in my wife's car and it's all good. My dad helped me replace the studs on my car. Gonna have the dudes at the tire shop check it out tomorrow, but I think the beater is back in business. Hoping this week is better than last. So I'm assuming you had some car issues and you said, replace the studs on my car. So I guess that's the, for the rotors. You just have a picture of a rotor here. So bottom line, I'm assuming maybe the context of this is that you couldn't drive to the gym, but now you're gonna be able to get to the fucking gym. Glad that your ankle feels better. So sounds like good news. If you're happy, I'm happy. Sometimes we get posed without context. So it sounds like maybe there were limitations of you getting to the fucking gym. So now you can go to the fucking gym and that your ankle's feeling better. Now there's no excuse not to. All righty. Let's get into some questions, fam. If you got questions, drop them in the chat. Hashtag AskPapaSwolio. And remember, if you want to call into the show, go to askpapaswolio.com. Snow tires, is that what you said? Snow tires, LOL, you're in Florida, so I just suppose you don't know. Or studs on your car? Does that have anything to do with snow? I grew up north. I've never heard of studs. Maybe it's just a term. Yeah, I'm glad. I moved to Florida, so I have to deal with fucking snow. Snow's bullshit. Oh, I love the change of the seasons. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Enjoy that. Enjoy having fucking snow for 7 months out of the year. Yeah, no thank you. If you want snow, you can go on a vacation for 2 weeks or a week, get your fill, and then go back to where it's nice all the time. I just want it to be nice. All right. Hola _ALR Papaswolio. How long it takes to lose 40 kilograms? Maybe forever. Maybe you'll never lose 40 kilograms. If you worry about how long it's going to take, that's usually a question from someone who's never going to lose 20 kilograms, let alone 40 kilograms. Okay. I have no fucking idea. Maybe forever, maybe 10 years if you don't do things properly or consistently. So anyone that's watching or listening, stop worrying about how long something's going to take. Stop worrying about how long something is going to take. Do the proper things that's going to take to get there. So first what you do is, hey, I want to lose 40, that's 90 pounds or so. All right. You want to lose that kind of weight, body fat, not muscle. Okay. So how are you going to go about doing that? Break it down until your daily tasks and then do that. That's it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. If you're taking the proper steps in order to lose body fat, you keep on perpetuating that and you will lose it. Doesn't matter if it takes 6 months or 6 years. Do you want to lose it or not? Then do what it takes and do it as well as you can. That's it. The length of something, how long does it take to build muscle? Maybe forever. A lot of people lift all the time and barely build any muscle because they're not eating right, they're not sleeping right, they're not really training hard. So it could take a long time or it could be more efficient. So it depends on how well you do something. Nick Papasolio is eating filet mignon with eggs the same as eating protein pancakes with eggs. They're both round and full of protein. Aha, 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 aha. That's fucking bullshit. Well, let's just say, how about no? Yeah, protein pancakes. Protein pancakes, the food of an addict. That's right. French toast. protein pancakes. Eat some real fucking food. You don't need to make a goddamn pancake, this faux pancake. If you're going to eat a pancake, eat a fucking pancake. If you want protein, eat a fucking steak. You're like pretending like, well, there's protein in here. You're cooking protein powder. It's already ultra processed. Now you're roasting protein powder in this fluffy, who the fuck knows? I guess depends on how you make it. All right, Amelia from the Telegram. Papa Swole, I finally have my sling off from my shoulder injury. I have still been consistent in the 7 pillars, and doctors say that continuing to do yoga and staying active definitely assisted in my recovery. Not a question. Okay, well, don't put the hashtag then. Not a question, just thank you for your content. You're very welcome. I'm glad. So that was kind of hard to read. So the doctor said that you focusing on yoga and staying active assisted in your recovery from your shoulder injury. Fantastic. Good for you, Amelia. Absolutely. All right. Make sure, fam, hashtag Ask Papa Swole if you have a question. But thank you for sharing. You could just type the comment. You don't have to do the hashtag. I'll read it. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad you're doing your yoga. It helps tremendously, people. Remember, the healthier you are, if you do come across some kind of injury, things are going to happen. If you're physically active and you're putting your body under stress, injuries happen. You might get tendonitis. You might have a tweak. Mistakes happen. You slip or errors happen. But if you're healthy and you're strong and you're training properly, you're going to mitigate your risk of injury, period. And also you're going to improve your ability to recover from an injury. So that's great. Good for you. Lane, protein cookies, protein bars, protein pills. What's next? Protein air? Possibly. Protein air. I'm game. Just don't tell the fat acceptance or the fat warriors. They think they can just gain weight just by breathing. Maybe there is protein in the air. Cam Dames. Papa Swole, I work out 6 out of 7 days of the eek. Of the eek? I work out 6 out of 7 days of the week, and I can't seem to lose that last layer of fat. Any advice? Yeah, you're probably training too much and you're eating like shit. So I don't know what that means. Working out 6 out of 7 days. If you're actually training or trying to lift hard, then you're not recovering enough. You're not training intensely enough. You're not recovering enough. So you're not building muscle because you're overtraining. You're not recovering enough. You're just training too frequently. I don't know what that means. When you say I work out, that's the most vague term. So depends on what you're doing. And I don't know what your nutrition or you're eating. So there's that. That's my advice is respond, like figure out what you're eating, do an elimination diet, get quality sleep, and stop under recovering. Make sure you're training hard, but giving your body enough time to recover. If you're training 6 days, if you're trying to lift 6 days out of 7, then you're absolutely, 1, you're not training hard enough. Because if you did train hard enough, you wouldn't be able to do that. And 2, you're not recovering. So Alan says, up the Colombian pre-workout. That's what we should do for a pre-workout. Just call it the Hunter Biden Express, the Hunter Biden snow cone. Oh no, we should call it Parmesan, Hunter's Parmesan. And that could be a pre-workout. It's just white powder. Parmesan. Yes. That's fucking legit. That's legit.
Come on, man.
All right. I'm just entertaining myself. I think that's pretty much the show. You guys just kind of show up and I just sit here and I don't know. Ana Luisa. Oh, I'm glad you're watching. Let's check this out. We're talking about your husband with the beatus, or you think he has it. Let's see. My husband does need to change his diet because he loves breads and pastas. Eats lots of sweets and doesn't exercise. Well, guess what your husband gets?
Matt Damon.
All right. So let's back up. I know we just did the tip, but let's go back to this comment, right? So you said, we think my husband may have diabetes. Yeah, we think. Well, I could have told you he has diabetes just by this comment. So now you're saying my husband does need to change his diet because he loves breads and pastas, eats lots of sweets, and doesn't exercise.
Wow.
He's 5'8" and weighs 170. He was 210, but lost the weight by drinking less soda and drinking more water. Well, that's good. He has the everything in moderation mindset. Yeah, he has the everything in moderation mindset, so he hasn't cut out all the things that have sugar in them. I do buy grass-fed meats since I'm in charge of the groceries. I do share what I've learned here, but like you say, Papa, I can only do so much. I think he's concerned now because I'm going to have our first child soon. Yeah, he should be concerned. He should be very concerned. Yeah, 170 at 5'8" is not okay because it's obviously skinny fat. But you know, if you're muscular, 5'8", 170, that's more like it, composition wise, if you have more muscle mass. So the everything in moderation mindset, that's a big thorn in my side. Everything in moderation is pretty much everything. Everything in moderation is everything average. Pretty much. Everything in moderation, everything average. That's just what it means. So you're going to make no progress. You're not going to excel anywhere. You're going to stay right in this little fluffy comfort zone. You're not going to try too hard with anywhere because then you don't fail. You don't put any real effort into any one thing. You're just meh. Meh. You're like living. Everything in moderation is like, you know how, okay, there's one thing, there's one symbol that represents everything in moderation, and that's the fucking underscore. Everything in moderation is literally an underscore. That's what it is. It's like, well, it's like, I don't have anything to say, but I don't want to put nothing, so I'm just going to put a line at the bottom. Not even a dash, but underneath. It represents nothing. It's like, but I'm putting something. It's like I'm doing something, but I don't want to type anything, but I'm typing something. I don't really want to do anything, like use a character, but I want to do something, but not mean anything. Everything in moderation is a fucking underscore. Okay. I feel better. I feel better now. Yeah, so breads and pastas are horrific for your blood sugar. Lots of sweets. I mean, you're right. You have the answers already. So I know you're asking this question as just like you're trying to, but let me just go back, and here's going to be some tough love, because when you say here, and I know you're not really questioning what you should do, but does anyone have any tips on what he can do to lower it? Yeah, tell him to close his fucking mouth. What can he do to lower it? Stop eating breads, stop eating pastas, stop eating lots of sweets, start exercising. It's like, all right, there you go. Ana Luisa, we love you. I just, no sympathy there. If you're not going to, this should be a wake-up call. This should be a big fucking cock across his face. Holy shit. You're about to have a kid and he's about to not be around for his child. And not only that, not going to be around to take care of you. And if you don't want to have 2 children and have to be taking care of him and getting his insulin, you said, like, aside from going to the doctor and paying thousands of dollars because he doesn't qualify for insurance, diabetic medication ain't cheap. So whatever is the inspiration for that, tell him to wake the fuck up. This is the wake up call. Can he make changes? If he's got to pivot hard. He's got to pivot fast. All right. I know you're not real. I know that was kind of a rhetorical question. Like, does anyone have any tips on what he could do to lower it? It's like,
Matt Damon.
I know. John Papasolio, in the 90-day dash, would you say I'm okay doing supersets, or should I focus on trying to do more sets? Follow the program. Follow the program. Depending on how you execute the program will be depending on the adaptations. I don't know where in the program. That's a very vague question. Okay, let's see. All right. Sansui 21. if I don't have pump after workout, is my workout not hard enough? Pump has nothing to do whether or not you create the stimulus required to build muscle mass. So I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, but if you're lifting weights without trying to build muscle, I don't know what the point is, to be honest. You should always be trying to create the stimulus, like build muscle, increase strength. That should be the goal. But a pump and soreness does not determine whether or not you are going to make progress. So if you're trying to build strength and build muscle, a pump is irrelevant. A pump is just transient hypertrophy. It's just your body sending blood to the muscles because of oxygen debt and, physiological responses to exercise. If you do lighter weight and higher repetitions, you'll get a pump, but you're not going to create the stimulus required to, like, you could do submaximal exercise and do like 30, 40 reps and just get a big pump. Your veins are popping out and all that stuff, but that's not building muscle. So don't chase the pump and don't chase soreness. And I will tell you this, because if you lift hard and you train intensely and you're doing progressive overload, in my experience, I get sore. And in my experience, I get a pump. I wouldn't necessarily say that the pump is as sick or as intense as when I did more volume in the past, but it's not required for growth. And what a lot of people should do is do what's working until it's not working anymore. The difference is people can create that kind of macro damage or stress or overload with more volume. But there's that diminishing returns. You can't just keep on doing more and more and more and more. There's that balance where some people are like, well, I do 4 sets, I do 3 sets. Like, yeah, you could build muscle like that, but you're also going to negatively affect your recovery. And it depends on how frequently you're training. So bottom line, you want to make sure that you are creating the stimulus. And you can create stimulus with many different pieces of equipment, with machines, with free weights, with bands. Some things are easier to provide overload. And those of you that use bands, you'll know certain exercises you can overload with bands, but some movements it's hard to get in position or to provide overload. Like if you're doing a chest press with bands, you have to really get a bench because otherwise you're leaning forward. It just gets awkward with certain positions, but you can provide overload. Your body doesn't know what a repetition is. Your muscles don't know what a repetition is. Your muscle doesn't know what piece of equipment you're using. It just responds. Your body is like, hey, I'm existing. And then it responds to the environment. So for example, what happens when it's cold outside? You shiver, little micro muscle contractions in order to increase heat because, oh, it's cold. It's a negative feedback system. Wow, your body temperature is dropping. So let's shiver in order to get warm again. You try to bring your limbs in to try to improve your body temperature, right? Your body is just reacting. Oh my God, there's stress over here. Oh shit, that was a lot. Let me repair and recover. Let me build a little bit more muscle to handle that. The next time you did it, wow, shit, that was a lot of stress. That was more than last time. It's all relative. You do a little bit more reps, you put a little more stress, and eventually your body is going to get bigger and stronger over time if you give your body enough time to repair in order to handle that stress that you do consistently. So you have to train consistently. You can't just train 1 month and then 3 months later you train again. You need to give enough recovery time between subsequent workouts, but not so long that your body doesn't create an adaptation. Let's see. John Papaswolio, total body ignite. I unintentionally went supersets last night instead of taking breathers between exercises. So you did more cardio. Supersets are really just 2 sets with no rest. So then you could do it again and see which way you like better. I mean, you'll still get adaptations. The total body ignite, remember the goal of some of the programming, especially in the earlier phases of the 90-day dash, is more stabilization and muscular endurance. That's what it's designed for. And that's why the program's designed that way. And then as you get into the later phases, like the swole phase, then it gets more into more of like a bodybuilding strength training in that sense. So the goals of the beginning portions are improving strength and stabilization, but in a different way. The goal is not to get jacked in the beginning portions of the 90-day dash. The 90-day dash is a great all levels program, but then if you really want to pack on size, you can take a look at maximum swole or swole season. So really what the 90-day dash is, it gets you exposed to different types of training, builds that foundation. And then after the 90-day dash, you can go into Scorched Earth. You can go to Swole Mastery. You could do more yoga. You can go into Maximum Swole or Swole Season. It gives you options. It gives that foundation. Darren, any tips on keeping a good season on your cast iron without using canola or vegetable oil? So I don't season my cast iron at all because I pretty much use it all the time. So we're using tallow all the time. And when I wash it, it just stays fine. I think it's just because we use it so frequently. But I think you could do it with tallow. But we don't get any rust or anything on our cast iron. So, yeah. I mean, there are ways, there are channels and stuff that you can, if you have cast iron that you need to like really clean or scrape off and, or season it or re-season it. We don't have to anymore. Because I think we just cook with it so often. It just hasn't become a necessary thing. But I would just use beef fat. I would just use beef fat, then you're not cooking any oils, or when you heat it up, you're not burning those oils. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I do. I've never had a need to. And also you just leave beef tallow on it and it'll leave a nice little film. And then when you heat up the pan, you don't have to put beef tallow on it to cook. It's already ready. That's what we used to do. I used to do that after we cook, and I'd clean the pan and I put some beef tallow on it, heat it up and kind of like brush it around the pan, just leave like beef tallow in the pan. But then we just stopped doing it. We use it the next day and it's never been a problem. So we just kind of stopped doing it because it hasn't rusted or had any issues. Logan, how do you feel about GF9 natural growth hormone dietary supplements? I know nothing about it. GF9. I know nothing about it. So I have no feelings. I feel nothing, Logan. I feel nothing. Natural growth hormone dietary supplements. You mean sleep? I think for a lot of these things, if you're going to go down that road, people are always looking to boost testosterone or supplements to boost this or growth hormone boost. Look, I'm going to eat healthy and get sleep and do that until I need to. And then if I ever want to take growth hormone, I'll probably just get the real shit and like inject it and get the real stuff rather than there's so many. You got to be careful with some of these things when you take a lot of things orally that your liver has to process. And, sometimes just when you want to do the real shit, you don't want to do those testosterone boosters. People are taking all these herbs and all these like oral things. It's like, well, why don't you just get better sleep, eat quality food, get more sunlight. And then when you're older and you have just naturally as you age, then you could actually take the real stuff. Just a thought, not medical advice, of course. But I know nothing about the boosters aside from anyone watching or listening. If you're concerned or thinking about taking any kind of anabolic or growth and you're not getting quality sleep, you're shooting yourself in the foot and then looking for a way to fix your foot. Let's see. Anyone else heard of that stuff? I've never heard of GF9. I'm not really in that aspect of supplementation. Steffi, has been scientifically proven 6 sets of 10 deadlifts to almost failure with 1 minute in between sets boost testosterone. In what context? There's a study for everything, depending on how you actually look at the study. The key thing is almost failure, and the issue is that 1 minute. 1 minute's not sufficient recovery in order to repair for subsequent sets. You'll boost testosterone, or you'll get benefits more if you rest longer and push closer to failure. In other words, lifting weights, your body is going to be healthier. Shocker. Lift weights. Lift fucking weights. All right, Sergio Lara Givelen Sayans. Papa Swoley, I'm sick and weak. Do you recommend to go to the fucking gym or not now? You're sick. Why would you go to the fucking gym?
Matt Damon.
Wake me up when the question doesn't suck. Huberman covered it. Yeah, well, okay, fine. Okay, so 6 sets of 10 deadlifts to almost failure with 1 minute between sets boost testosterone. Just do cardio instead. It's like that kind of stuff, Steffi. I get it. Huberman says a lot of stuff. You know, they always stuff like, go, oh, well, the cold therapy, do 11 minutes a week. 11 minutes. Okay. 1, 2, 3. There's always, because look, when you do a scientific study, you ready for this? When you do a scientific study, and most people don't know how scientific studies actually have to be executed, they have to be repeatable. They have to be controlled as much as possible. And whenever you do something with physical training, with nutrition, there's so much individual variability. You need a massive sample size. You need, like, when you're testing one thing, you're not testing 1,000 other things. So it's like we took 15 college-aged volleyball players, and we did 3 movements of, it just has to be so fucking minute. And that's why there's so many studies on the same topics, because you have to tweak and adjust and test different things. And if the study isn't done properly, it's going to get misinterpreted and it's not really accurate. I hated doing that kind of shit when I was in college and stuff like that. It's boring, super fucking boring. And it's very easy to manipulate data. And, it makes most things that you read in scientific journals super sketchy when you realize what goes in or what you can do in order to tweak shit when you're on the back end. But yeah, lifting weights is great for your health. I don't recommend people go do 6 sets of deadlifts to almost failure with 1 minute between. In other words, if you're trying to improve strength, that's not enough rest time. You're just lifting for cardio. 1 minute between, it's just cardio. It's cardio. Just my opinion on it. But I do think that it's good information for people. Like, hey, lifting weights will improve your health. Sure will. Sure will. Sure fucking will. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. VK230711. Papa Swole, how much time are you in the gym every day? I don't necessarily lift weights. I don't lift weights every day. How much time? However long it takes me to get it done. When it comes to like a lifting session, hour and a half, depending. I actually do like training less frequently, intensely, and doing more on one day, but then it just becomes like I'm just doing too much in a given session. So I'm not a big fan of that. There's a lot of negativity around, people call it the bro split, when people are doing chest on one day or back on another day or arms on one day. It's not a bro split. It really depends on the intensity of your training and how your recovery. So what you're actually accomplishing. If you want muscles to grow, period, end of story, you need to make sure that you have the stimulus required, the local stimulus required, but then you also have the systemic recovery. So if you're lifting different body parts, you're doing, let's say, classic chest on Monday, back on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday, and you're doing every day, sure, you're training different body parts, but you're not giving time for your entire system to recover. So even though you're training different body parts on each day, it's still the same body that's systemically fatigued from lifting heavy on those days. Now, when you're younger, when you're 18, 19, 20, you can get away with some of that stuff more. You don't necessarily realize that you're getting away with it, or you're also still sacrificing gains. You just don't get as fatigued. But as recoverability decreases, and not only that, as recoverability decreases as you get older, but also as you have more experience in the gym and as you get stronger, the stress increases. So if you're new to the gym and you're young, whatever you do with like your weights, you're not lifting that heavy. It's not as intense. When you get much older and you have all this strength, experience, you're able to push to failure. You're able to train so much harder because you know how to shut off those aspects of, you know how to push through the burn and go to actual failure. And you're lifting much heavier weight. Your workouts are so much more intense. You need more recovery. It's not just because you're older. It's because you're lifting so much heavier and you're training so much harder. A lot of people think they're training hard, but they're not. They're just doing, if you're doing a ton of volume, are you really training that hard? They're just fatiguing themselves. And a lot of people eat garbage all the time and don't feel like they have any health issues because they're used to feeling like shit. They're used to living in a fog. They don't realize how good they can feel when they get rid of some of this garbage. They're used to constant bloating. They're used to constant joint pain. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, this hurts. Oh, I'm just getting old. That has nothing to do with it. People have a lot of health issues and don't realize it because they're living in a fog. You don't realize how good you can feel until you feel good, and then the contrast is evident. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You need recovery. So, in other words, the amount of time doesn't really matter. If you're going based on time, you're like, okay, I have to train for 2 hours. You're going to do a lot of junk volume just to fill up that time. Now, when I say training time, that doesn't include a warm-up. That doesn't include, driving to the gym and taking a shit in the locker room. That doesn't include. So if you're at the gym for 2 hours, you pull into the parking lot. Yeah, I'm talking about the actual workload. I'm talking about the actual training portion, not the warm up, not preparing for your workout from boom, you're training hard. That period. Not the warm up, not the arm circles or the push ups or the reverse sled. I'm not considering that part of the workout timing. And so, again, we have to define, what are you talking about in terms? I'm talking about your actual working sets. When you start doing that, how long is your workout taking? And I think when it comes to how your body systemically recovers, some people can train and do intense training maybe 2 days in a row. Are you taking anabolics? Are you recovering really well? Some people, you take 2 people with the same nutrition, same sleep, some people are going to recover better. So if you're one of those people that recovers a little bit quicker, and you'll know, as per the programming Maximum Swole, you will know if your strength and your reps are increasing. If they're not, if they're plateauing, or you're just like psychologically burnt out and your weights are not improving, you're not able to get a couple more reps the next workout, you're not able to go up 5 or 10 pounds, that's a sign that you're plateauing, that your body is not recovering, something's amiss, and you need to pull back. So that's the way you know. People say, well, how do I know if I should increase weight? You should know by being able to increase weight. So if I'm doing 100 pounds for 6 reps, the next week, if I'm repairing enough before my next workout, I should be able to get that for 7 or 8. And if I can't, if I'm like, oh, I'm only getting 5, or I hit that, there might be times when you just don't get a little bit extra. You don't get that extra rep, or maybe it's close. Okay. But we're talking about for subsequent workouts, if you're really plateauing, that's a sign that you're not repairing enough. You're maybe not creating the proper stimulus, but also you're not repairing enough for your body to super compensate to be able to handle more, because that's how your body adapts. Your body is not trying to adapt to be able to do the same shit last time. If you subject your body to a stress, and when I say a stress, when we talk about progressive overload means more than it can handle. Overload means, man, that was uncomfortable. Man, that was past the threshold of what your body it can normally sustain. So if you push to failure and you create that stress, like that reaction, like, holy shit, that was bad. Your body, given the time to repair, is going to get a little bit stronger, build a little bit muscle, build more strength in order to handle that 8 reps that you did last time. But guess what happens the next time you do that same body part? Because your body grew a little bit stronger and built a little more muscle in order to handle that 8 reps, guess what you come back with? You come back with fucking 9 or 10. Holy shit, what the fuck was that? Give your body enough time to recover. Your body is going to adapt and grow to be able to handle that 10 reps. That was fucking crazy. Then you come back the next time that you recovered sufficiently. But instead of 100 pounds for 8 reps or 10 reps, now you did 105. Now you put on, well, I got 10 reps. Now I'm going to put on 110 pounds. And then you did 6 reps. Oh my God, that was 110 pounds. We've never done 100. What the fuck was that? Your body adapts a little bit more. Next time you come in 110 pounds for 7 reps or 8 reps. Oh my God, what the fuck was that? Your body adaptation is your body developing to handle what you did better last time. That's why you get stronger. That's why you get stronger. And over time, 100 pounds, that original 100 pounds for 8 reps is a joke because now you're doing 175 pounds. But it's progressive. And again, like anything else, people don't think of adding 1 pound as a big deal or 2.5 pounds. You put on a 45 on each side and, guys will just put on a 25 on each side. Dude, that's like a 40% increase in weight. That's not how you jump up in weight. All you need is like a 2.5 pounds or 1 pound or one more rep. One more repetition is more. Objectively, period, end of story. If you're doing a machine press or a curl or a row, and last week you did, or 7 days ago, or 10 days ago, or 5 days ago, you did 6 reps. And now you did 7. That's more. That's an increase. That's called overload. People don't understand how important one more repetition is because they have a short-term vision. They're not thinking about recoverability. They're not thinking of adaptation. They don't understand how the body works. That's why it's important to understand how the body works. Because then you realize people are changing their workouts completely. They're just doing a lot of shock stress. When you choose a new exercise, when you start a new split, when you do a different type of stress, a new exercise, let's say you normally do barbell, now you're doing dumbbell, that's a big shock to the body. You don't need to go and do like max push-ups, as many push-ups as I can do in one day. That's a big shock. That's an alarm reaction. That's not going to build an adaptation. That's just going to give your body a shock. Then you have to do the same thing consistently. You will build muscle over time by doing the same shit over and over again. By doing a barbell bench. You don't need a dumbbell too. You just fucking do barbell. Or just do dumbbell. You don't need to switch back and forth all the time and do the same exercise order. When you first change something up, yeah, you might get sore. Yeah, you might get like, oh, really tight. But again, soreness doesn't mean improvement. Soreness is just your body's shock at doing something mechanically different. Doesn't know what a repetition is. Doesn't know what you're fucking holding. The chest doesn't know that you're holding something like this or 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 like this. Your chest doesn't know that you're holding something and that there's a stack over here with a cable or that there's a bar with 2 plates or there's bands. Your chest doesn't fucking know. Your brain knows. Your chest doesn't know. Your chest is going like this. Horizontal adduction. Oh, it's a chain. It's just doing that. Is this more stressful than the last time you did this? And if it is, and you give enough adaptation and enough time to recover, your muscle will build strength, and over time you'll build muscle mass. Period. That's it. That's it. But people are in the, and this is a major problem with things like CrossFit. And even a big problem with something like P90X, which was like muscle confusion. Your muscles don't get confused. They don't get confused. Good marketing, great marketing. Easy for people to understand that know nothing about the fucking body and adaptation. It's very layman, which is how it was marketed. Again, great marketing. Back in the day, Beachbody, it wasn't a fitness company. It was a marketing company that marketed fitness products. That's why they had the multi-level marketing and all that stuff. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but it's marketing. Muscle confusion. Oh, the muscles are confused. No, they're not. Muscles literally have 1, 2, 3, sometimes integrated or isolated actions. Muscles are attached to bone and tendon, and they're attached, and they just shorten. And they do the same fucking thing that they always have, and they will always do the same fucking thing. They're not confused. They're not confused. There's nothing to be confused about when you're a muscle. They just shorten. They just do this. Your chest does this. When your arm is up here, your chest will do this. When your arm is down here, you have clavicular fibers, and your bicep will do this. Certain muscles work together to do this or to do this. They will do that same thing until you fucking die. That's it. Okay? It's for people to not get bored, so you stick with it. But if you get through people's fucking thick skulls, that it doesn't matter whether they're interested or they're just like, yeah, of course you want to adhere to it and be consistent. But again, fitness is not entertainment. If you want to get the results, you do what works. It's like, well, Papa Sawyer, how do I get big? I only have barbells. Good. You can get fucking jacked. Put on a pound. Get little micro plates. Put on a pound the next week and do 6 reps. Don't put on a 10 on each side. Just do pounds, do 2.5. The ego can't handle, oh my God, it's a tiny plate. I have a 45 on each side and then a little 1 pound plate or it's objectively more weight. If you did 135, for 6 reps, and the next week you did 135 for 7, and 2 weeks from now you did 135 for 8. And once you get a little higher, then you do 140, put a 2.5 on each side, and then you do another weight. That's progressive overload. You will build strength, you will build muscle. Everyone wants to jump and slap on a 25. And everyone wants to slap on a 10 or slap on this. More weight is more weight, and more reps with the same weight is overload. Time to go balls deep. All right. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! That's deep. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, the P90X program, there's a lot of good things in it. There's a lot of like really atrocious things that, you know, with form and stuff, there are good things and bad and most things. There's pros and cons. There's, you know, there's good aspects and there's, you know, bad aspects. But bottom line, you want to provide the overload. And when you understand what adaptation is, it's 2 things. Creating the stress and then recovery. If you're not recovering, you're not building muscle. You're not adapting to that stress. You don't adapt to the stress when you're training. You adapt to the stress when you're sleeping, when you're eating, when you're doing yoga, when you're recovering from that stress. And there's local recovery, so your muscles aren't fucking sore and damaged. That happens pretty quickly. And there's systemic recovery, which means it doesn't matter if you did chest like 3 days, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, you're not getting quality sleep and you're exhausted. What do you think triggers muscle contractions? Your central nervous system. If your central nervous system is blasted and you're fatigued and you've been training 3 heavy fucking days in a row, you're exhausted. Your system is exhausted, even if your chest isn't sore anymore. All right. And this is popular, like Mike Mentzner, Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates, with his accent, always said, you're in the gym to try to create a strong, sharp shock. Yeah, the shock, the stress, the stimulus. Intense and brief, because if you do it intensely and briefly, it doesn't matter. If you create that stress from the first set, you're doing a chest day and you're on incline bench and boom, you get your 1 extra rep or 2 extra reps or 5 extra pounds for the same reps, right? You create that overload. It's more than last time. Why are you doing like another set and another set? Unless you're able to get the same amount of reps, usually the second set, guess what? If you used it all and you went to failure for that 1 set, you're going to do another set for what? 5 reps or less reps. It's done. It's done. That movement is done. You maxed out what you can do. That's it. The rest of it's beating a dead horse. You're just lashing a horse that's already fucking dead. Stop wasting energy because it's just negatively affecting your recovery. It doesn't mean you can't build muscle. It just means that stress, that shock, you're always going to have your first set is going to be your first set is going to be the strongest you're going to be for the entire workout. That first set to failure, that's all your energy. And everything after that, it's less than your maximum capacity by default. You've used some of your energy and a good portion of it. So when it comes to an exercise, why do multiple sets if you're really giving it all for that 1 set? It's psychology. People want to feel a pump. And if you're doing tons and tons of reps, yeah, you're going to get more of a pump. But a pump doesn't mean stimulus. A pump just means more blood. It doesn't mean that your body's going to adapt to it. In other words, get in, create the stress, and go to recover. But you have this thing with CrossFit and these endurance things where people want to lie in a puddle of their own sweat and just they want to feel completely blasted, right? They want to feel wiped the fuck out. And that's the problem. People chronically overtrain and under recover because they go by their feeling. They go by, the whole goal is not to be completely wiped out. Quite the opposite. The goal is to be as recovered as possible. So after a workout that you created the stress, if you feel great, that's great. You don't want to be completely, you're going to be, if you're training hard, it's still going to take a lot out of you. Don't get me wrong. But in other words, why exhaust yourself 10 times as much? It's going to take you that much longer to repair and recover. And if you're not recovered for the next workout, that's going to suffer. That's going to suffer. Your recovery is going to suffer. Then you're going to plateau and burn out. So, okay, good rant. Okay, so let's get into some balls deep cupcakes. Can you explain failure a bit more? I mean, we just talked about it for like an hour, for like 30 minutes. Is that going till you just completely can't and your muscles give out? Yes, essentially. I'll talk about it in a second, just because I don't want, if you don't know what failure is, it's important. Yeah. So if you're doing a set, usually it's about those 5 reps up until like absolute failure, plus like lengthened partials, like partial repetitions, not just like, oh, I can't do another one and done. Like really trying to get, like with curls, trying to get every last millimeter out and isometrics at the end. So failure is literally until you can't do another repetition with good form and even partial repetitions. And this is why complete to failure training, it's always recommended to have a training partner if you're doing free weight stuff, or using machines can be much safer for someone to train to failure if you don't have a spotter. So it's always going to be like proper form. It doesn't mean that you're just swinging shit around. Failure doesn't mean that you're lifting more than you can handle. Failure means you cannot do another repetition, including like things like lengthened partials. You're going until your muscles' absolute limit of what they can do with a given weight. And that's going to be different. And you can build muscle by doing 20 repetition sets or 25 or 30. You can build muscle doing a 30 repetition to failure set, but doing a 30 rep set to failure is much more fatiguing than doing a set of 8 reps to failure, right? Why use 4 times as much energy to get the same benefit? So why do a set to 30 to failure when you can do a set of 8? Oh, because of the pump it. You're wasting time and energy. And the whole point of training is not to waste energy. And this is why it's not about fatiguing yourself in the gym. It's not about exhaustion. And a lot of people go to the gym to be exhausted. That's not the point. If you're exhausting yourself in the gym, you're going to plateau and not make progress. The goal is to create as much stress as you can with as little fatigue as necessary so you can recover faster, so you can keep on creating and leveling up that stress. Because if you're not recovering, you can't create more stress. You haven't repaired from the previous workout. All right, let's get into, maybe we'll do 1 or 2. We'll keep it brief. Shut the fuck up and go to the fucking gym. It was a good question. The failure it's a great question. And again, failure is challenging to achieve. Failure is challenging to achieve. And most people don't train anywhere close to failure. There are a lot of people that say you shouldn't train to failure. You don't have to train to failure. Like, you don't have to, but you're going to have to do so much more volume and it's unnecessary. If you're stopping a few reps before failure, you're not getting enough of those overload reps. You're not creating enough of a stimulus, right? You know, you guys know, and the muscles, you know, it gets hard and challenging. Like, that's when you're getting closer and closer to creating that shock. You're creating that overload. And if you're doing a lot more sets and a lot more reps when you're just kind of getting a burn and you still have a few more in the tank and you're stopping, that's when you want to keep going, because that's the overload. Otherwise, you're just doing movements that your body can handle and there's no need to adapt. Does that make sense? If your body can handle, so if I do a weight with 10 reps and it starts to burn a little bit and I stop, well, my body can handle that. There's no need for my body to build muscle. There's no need to adapt. It can handle that. In other words, this is the idea of getting more with less. And when I say getting more with less, it doesn't mean you're not training hard. Quite the opposite. You're training harder than you ever have before, but you're getting more with less volume. And again, if more was better in the gym, the longer you were in the gym, like that person said, like, how long do you work out for? If more was better, I'd be training for 10 hours a day just because that would get me more muscle than 9 hours. I would do 60 sets because that would be better than 50 sets. More is more, right? More is more, but more isn't better. So you have to find that balance. And if you find that doing 2 sets for an exercise or 2, then you just want to do as little as possible. So you start with that 1 out failure set. You just want to do as little as necessary. And it doesn't mean you're not training hard. And like I said, everyone's going to recover differently. You have to find, that's why Maximum Swole is very customizable with how long you rest between subsequent sessions when you do your session split. So you get to customize and figure it out, because if I tell you to rest for 3 days or 3 days, maybe you need 5. Or if I tell you to rest for 6 days, maybe you only need to rest for 4 because of, I don't know, for whatever reason. So there's individuality there, but it gives you a lot more flexibility. And a lot of you are aware of this, but when you first start training, you take a day off. And I was like this too. When you take a day off, you think, oh my God, I'm losing all my gains. I didn't go to the gym today. Oh my God, all my gains are melting, because you don't have that local pump, or you're not sore in the moment. You're not currently pumped. So you feel like you're flat. You feel like you're skinny, right? If you're not training, you're losing. But then, you have your first experience of taking a few days off because you couldn't, or the gym was closed, or you had work or something like that. And you go back and you're stronger than you were before. You're like, oh my God, I took a few days off. I had a sick pump. I feel great. It's because you're actually recovering. So it feels different on a transient level. It's like delayed gratification versus instant gratification. Everyone wants that flavor right now, or whatever that addiction is. Everyone wants that pump right now. Wouldn't it be great to walk around just pumped all the time? Yeah, sure. People do that with anabolic steroids, but that's not natural. You don't just walk around with your veins popping and muscles full and pumped. Look, do I look pumped right now? I'm relatively lean and I have muscle mass, but that's why I look like I might have, to some people, I might look like I just worked out. No, it's because I have muscle mass that I've built over years and years and years. I'm not pumped right now. When I'm pumped, I look like I'm saucing out of my mind, but that's because there's a lot of blood flushed to the muscles. But that's not how you normally look. Look, like, it's not how you normally look. Look at my arm. My body doesn't need to be flushing blood to, that'd be a huge problem. I'd be like dizzy and lightheaded. When you're training, there's like 85-90% of the blood in your body is going to your muscles. But when I'm sitting around resting, I want it in my brain. I want it in my organs digesting. I don't want blood just fucking pumping my quads up right now. I'd be passing out. Okay? So anyway, the goal is not to be exhausted, quite the opposite. The goal is to, and it's a mind fuck. You're relearning how the body works. And some of you're learning for the first time. Your goal is not how you feel in the moment. Your goal is to force an adaptation over time. So people say they want to build muscle and then do the opposite of how to build muscle. Do you want to build muscle? If the answer is yes, then do what is required, create the stress, and then get to recovering, because that's when you're building. You're building muscle and strength outside of the gym. You're creating the stimulus in the gym, but then you want to get out to recover. And if you're not completely wiped out, fatigued, you did so much extra work that's unnecessary, it's more efficient for your body to repair, and then you can hit it again. Okay? If you're exhausting yourself and you're beating a dead horse, then your body can't recover. Remember, you're only in a positive state to build muscle systemically. It's not like, oh, my chest is sore, so my chest is working on building muscle. No, it's your brain, it's your hypothalamus, it's your thyroid, it's your liver, it's your kidneys, it's the whole system. And if the whole system is fatigued because you've been smashing different body parts every day, systemically, you're wiped out, even though your chest isn't sore anymore. Because again, soreness does not mean that you're building muscle. People that take anabolic steroids, it aids in recovery because you're taking exogenous hormones. So a lot of people that take anabolic steroids don't get sore all the time or often because those anabolic steroids help the body repair quicker. But they still build muscle, because if they went off soreness, they'd just be doing so much more volume. And a lot of times people that take those types of things can get away with more volume and extra stress because they have those, artificial exogenous hormones to help them out. So bottom line, you want to create the stress you want to create the most stress with the least amount of fatigue and systemic fatigue. That's pretty much what I'm saying. And the more that you can balance that, most stress with the least amount of fatigue means less volume, less junk sets and junk reps, more recovery. So you want to reduce the fatigue as much as possible while creating the stress. You're going to have fatigue. But if you're thinking of units of fatigue, if we're just making something up, why have 25 units of fatigue when you can only create 5 with the same stress? Why create more fatigue is my point. And that's really how you have to think about this. Why create more fatigue than necessary? Because you just want to be wiped the fuck out? It doesn't make sense. So if you can create the necessary stimulus with less fatigue, you'll repair more quickly, you'll feel better, you have more energy, and everything will be happy and you'll make consistent progress. And you don't have to deload and take a month off training because you overtrained, because you're recovering constantly through the programming. If you feel like you need more recovery, then guess what? Add another day or two. Do more yoga, go for more walks, focus on better sleep. Trust me, when you go back and you do the next set or you do the next workout, you're going to see another rep or another 2 reps. And that's when it's satisfying. That's when you realize, I know because I'm like, well, I haven't lifted heavy, like super heavy in like 3 or 4 days. It's like, oh my God. In my head, I'm like, you need to lift. You're flat. You're losing muscle. You have to listen to that voice and understand that it's just, it's just habit. It's just what you've been classically exposed to. But then the proof is in the pudding, because I take my notebook and when I'm doing the next incline chest press or whatever I'm doing, and I notice that I put the same weight on as last time and I have 1 more rep, it works. It worked. And of course, then I'm sore and I feel good. But it's proof that it's working. Because how often do you normally add more weight? Most people, and drop in the comments, most people and most of you, what do? You go to the gym and you put on the same weight all the time, right? Or people that you see in the gym. There's always those people that are just lifting the same weights, the same dumbbells. They're curling the same dumbbells. They're benching the same amount of plates. They're putting the same pin. And they just do a lot of reps with the same shit that they did last time. And the time they did before. And the time they did before. They just do shit with the same fucking weight. What is going to change? What a rant. What is going to change if you're doing the same shit? Nothing. You're just doing the same shit. So what the fuck are you adapting? You're not. You do 100 pounds for the same shit. Guess what? You're going to go nowhere. You're creating no new stress. You're just lifting shit. You're just picking things up and putting it down and making no progress. If you're always curling 30s, guess what? You're going to look like you're always curling 30s. That's the adaptation. You're just curling 30s. Curl them all fucking day. You're not going to get bigger. Curl them all day long, baby. Curl them all fucking day. So I'm telling you, if you go to a gym and they only have 5 pounds, then buy your own micro plates. Buy your own 1 pound plates. Buy your own 2.5s. Buy your own half pound plates and just put them in your bag. And then when you want to add on like a 1 pound or 2.5, if it's free weights, add it on there. I'm telling you, when you're doing bench pressing or any kind of thing and you put on 1 pound on each side, you're not really going to notice it. You know why? Because it's an increase, but it's an increase that's proper. So if you're doing deadlifts, when deadlifts are such a macro movement, you can add on a 5 on each side or a 10, and then it'll take out in like a rep or 2 if you're relatively speaking. But if you're doing curls, relatively speaking, that's a huge percentage increase. If you're doing 250 pound deadlifts and you add on 5 pounds or whatever, it might be a few percent increase, right? If you're doing curls on a barbell and it's 20 pounds and you add on a 5 on each side, Jesus Christ, just up the weight 20%. That's a massive fucking increase. And weight is weight. I don't care if you're doing 315 pounds for bench. You put on a pound on each side, guess what? It's more. It's more. It's objectively more. And the reason why you track stuff and you write it down, we have the worksheets and stuff, is because if you write it down what you did, especially with Maximum Swole, guess what? I don't remember what I did for chest 9 days ago. I don't remember. Why would I remember that? I have shit to do. That's not information that needs to be in my brain. I'm going to bullshit around and do a couple and just try to figure it out. No, I can warm up. I do the minimum amount of warm up that will ensure that I don't get hurt, that I can push as hard as I can. That's my warm up. Papa Swole, how long should I warm up? What should I do? Just don't do a 30-minute workout and exhaust yourself before you even do your sets. Just do a basic warm up and just get your body, whatever it takes for you to be able to push as hard as you fucking can so you don't get hurt. That's what your warm up is. The bare minimum. That way you have as much energy as possible for that set. And I see, I did 75 on each side with this machine. I have one machine and I have an incline press machine. The weight is ridiculous. I'm telling you, if you sat on the machine without weight and you're like, oh, that's not that bad. just with a machine, and I put on 5 pounds, you're gonna be like, it's shocking. It doesn't make any sense. It's not the same as like a barbell. Like a 10 on each side is like a 30 or a 40 on each side on like a bar. It's ridiculous how it's just the angle, it's something about it. So I objectively look and I go, okay, let's say I did 75 on each side for 7 reps. Now I'm going to do 75. I want to get 8. I want to get 8. I want to create more stress. And that's it. That's how you play the game. Okie dokie. Let's see, Barrett. It's hard for me. I know we're going long. Maybe we'll just do like one balls. Maybe we'll just do one video today. It's hard for me to train failure since I train solo and I'm stressed out all the time and I work third shift. I'm doing what I can now and working on improving my situation. It's just going to take you longer to recover. And it doesn't sound like you're recovering anyway, just for life because you're working third shift. So yeah, I mean, I train solo too. And you can absolutely train solo to failure. But this is why if you're training solo, maybe for certain people, you might need 2 sets just because you can't go to absolute failure. You might need to do a superset or you might need to do another set. That way you can get more of those failure type reps in. So of course, if you're doing a barbell, you could do a barbell press to failure if you're training by yourself, but you need supports. You need a situation where you have support. So in case you have to drop it, it's going to rest and you can get out. So you can absolutely train to failure. It's not as efficient, of course, with free weights, but anyone that's listening, if you're doing squats, needs to be in a cage. You need to have squatter arms. It needs to be set properly. So it's not like you're squatting down. So many people set squatter arms. So when they squat down, if they have to bail out, it's like 7 inches below. Like, you're still fucked. What are you doing? Make it so you will like touch so you can actually get out of the damn thing. So you're not hurting yourself and it's spotting you. So, there's certain exercises that's going to be harder to go to failure, but just do so safely. You can do it safely, but this is why I started getting into more machine stuff, because I can, when I have, a machine press, I can drop it, or I can, it keeps me safe. Keeps me safe, especially because I'm training at home and I'm doing tons of weights. And, Mama Swole always says that, she goes, it makes her feel a lot better that I'm using machines too, because it reduces my risk of injury dramatically, because I train hard and I train hard with free weights too. I have a lot of experience, but experience doesn't matter. You can have like a nerve thing and all of a sudden your legs give out, like shit happens, So the more secure you are in the movement and the more safe you are, the more your brain, because you're always protecting yourself. Your brain is always aware, like, hey, we could die. This could go bad. So the more you have like, wow, this could go bad, the more high risk it is. If you're doing all this balanced circus shit because you're posting an Instagram reel, one, you can't produce as much force. You can't focus as much because you're worried about getting hurt. So if you secure yourself enough, or you have like, let's say you have 1 spotter behind your professional spotter, 2 spotters on the side, like at a competition, those people at a competition, when you have these professional spotters and like they're all around you and they know what they're doing, they can put on as much fucking weight as they can to get that 1 rep, because they know if they can't get it, you have pros there. So the more that you can like shut off, like, okay, I'm completely safe, I can go as hard as I fucking possibly can. That's the best situation. All right, last one. Hella awkward. How would you recommend incorporating strength and mobility into my routine if I already train 15 plus hours of jujitsu per week? I struggle to find balance and I end up sore, tired to train if I lift. Yeah, priorities. Priorities. That's all I can say. What's your priority? So if your priority is jujitsu, like, can strength training help with jujitsu? Sure. Or maybe I'm not a jujitsu expert, but I know you can do drills. You can just go over like, in drills. But if you're actually rolling and stuff, that's going to be a lot more taxing. So it depends. If you're doing 15 plus hours of jujitsu, then that's your priority. So whatever you do for training or your scheduling needs to facilitate towards that. If you want to focus on building muscle and that type of stuff, then, something's got to give. You have to back off one, which might actually help you perform better. It depends. When people always say that, if it's your priority, then focus on that. I mean, strength definitely helps with jujitsu, but of course, lifting weights, you don't have to be jacked for jujitsu. It'll definitely help you. It depends. And we all go through phases too. You have a passion for something. So understand there's only so many hours in the day. And if you get your priorities straight, that'll answer a lot of questions. So again, with fitness, people are like, well, I love to swim and I love to do this and I want to jump rope and I want to do this. Trust me, I have that. I have that because I have all these clubs and maces and I have machines and I have kettlebells. I cannot do everything at once. I can't. Because not only would that not be effective and I'll just burn myself out, but for an adaptation, it needs to be consistent, it needs to be focused. So what's my goal? If my goal is to build muscle and strength, then what movements should I do for that and do that? I can't swing every club. I can't do every machine. I can't touch every kettlebell. Otherwise, I'm just doing random shit. And at this point in my life and career, like I'll just be doing random shit and kind of be like, meh, I don't want to do activity just to be like, oh, I'm practicing some mobility with my kettlebell and I'm swinging a club. I'm just doing shit. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but not if you're trying to make a specific progress. If I'm just like lifting and to be exercise, like, hey, I'm just going to have this fun. I'm going to do, a cycle of 200 swings and this. That's just random shit that people do. I'm not saying they don't make adaptations. I'm not saying that it's not good general activity, but it's like going for a walk. You're doing it I'm going for a walk's sake. If I'm just doing some random workouts, I'm just moving for moving's sake. I'd rather do it with some intent. And if you have intent, then do what's best for that intent. You want to build muscle, you want to build strength, then what's going to build you muscle and strength most effectively, and do that. But it's very easy to go to the gym. It's very easy to go to the gym and get overwhelmed. Because seriously, you come to my place, there's everything that a gym will have. Fuck, my gym is better than most gyms. Especially ones that outfit their shit with like techno gym or matrix equipment. Fuck that shit. So there's a lot of options. I have a lot of options and I'm grateful for that. I created it that way. But at the same time, I can't do everything. And you're never going to be able to do anything. And like we just talked about for the last 40 minutes or so, you're not supposed to do everything. If you do everything, you're wasting your time. You're just doing shit, right? Don't just train to train. If you just train to train, guess what's going to happen? Not a whole lot. Sure, you might build some muscle, you get some more endurance, you might feel better. I'm not saying it's bad for you, but a lot of people do way too much and it actually negatively affects them because they're beating a dead horse. They're doing way too much. They're fatiguing themselves and they're going the opposite direction because we're in this idea that more is better, right? And it's like that for everything. If you unplug from the more is better, it's across the board. Is more money better? I think we'd all agree, yes, to a point, right? I'm not saying that having $1 billion isn't better than $1 million, but there's a point where it just more isn't the same as going from 50,000 to 100,000. It's not the same as going from 1 million to 2, and it's not the same as going from 1 billion to 2 billion. Diminishing returns, right? Same thing with fitness. One set can be much better than 2 sets. I mean, 2 sets might in some cases be good, but then when you start getting to 4 or 5, like it just becomes like more isn't the same. More complicated isn't better than simple. And a lot of people try to complicate things, but we're so used to more is better. More food, more time off, more workouts, more clothes, more shoes, more cars, whatever it is. Just think about it. We're just programmed like to acquire things and to get things because we have this evolutionary scarcity. And if you unplug from, okay, not what would be more, but what would be more effective. What's the most effective? So you have to work backwards. I'm trying to build muscle. Okay, what do I need to do to build muscle? I need to create stress and recover properly and eat right. Okay, cool. How do I do that? And what's the most effective way of doing that? Right? Why do 4 sets when you can do the same? Again, think about this. For given exercise, just to give you a concept, it makes so much sense. You have to really, it's like the elimination diet. You can hear me talk about it all the time, but once you actually feel what it's like to not have brain fog and joint pain and eczema and psoriasis and bloating and migraines, oh my God, I didn't realize I was living in a fucking addictive fog my whole life. So If you could do the same thing in 4 sets if you could do the same thing in 3 sets that you normally did in 4 sets, would you think that's better? Saves you time, saves you fatigue, right? If you could do the same thing in 3 sets that you can do in 2 sets, if you could do the same thing in 2 sets that you could do that you did in 3 sets, well, now you went from 4 sets to 2 and you're creating the same benefit. Well, that sounds a lot better. If you could do the same thing in 1 set that you could do in 2 sets, I just decreased my fatigue by 75%. I just decreased or increased my recoverability dramatically because I am fatiguing myself 75% less. And what I've noticed is that just joint pain, things like tendonitis or things that would come up from doing a lot of repetitions, don't have it because you're not creating. A lot of that is just movement repetition patterns. You're running a lot, so you get tendonitis. You get that constant rubbing just from volume, which is usually a component. By doing more volume, by default, usually people are just recovering less because people don't usually take more time off when they do more intense stuff or more volume. They just try to get more in a short period of time, right? You have something that gets taken off your plate, or you get an iPhone so it makes you more efficient, or some sort of technology. What do? You use that extra time to repair or to meditate or to have more peace in your life? No, you fill something up. You fill that hole with something else. So anytime things get more efficient in your life, you make it more complicated by adding something else. So then you're still stressed out. Now you're just having the same amount of time and more stress, and you have more things done. So you're not actually cleaning shit up. You're just giving yourself opportunity to fucking smash more shit in there. So that's a problem. Same thing with exercise. Same thing with training. And the different thing is, and I like what Andrew says, but I want to clarify that because it's Morse philosophy. Andrew says less is more is less, more is more, and less is less. Yeah. So for example, in fitness terms, less is more, or in what we're talking about. Yes. However, less is only, it's not about less being more. I know what Andrew's saying. So it's like almost parables, but less is more, but it's not really that less is more. It's that less is more effective. It's not that less is more effective. It's less is more effective if you create the proper stimulus. So if people go to like 1 set and they're like, well, I'm not making progress. And then you see them train and they're not really pushing to failure. It's like, that's why. So 1 set is sufficient for an exercise if you're pushing that shit to the point of overload versus the previous time that you did it. Otherwise, it's not going to be sufficient. Steffi says, we're just gonna finish up with this today, and then we'll give away the Swole card. We'll do shit post tomorrow. Steffi, do you ever watch bodybuilding influencers? They all say muscle building limits mobility and flexibility. Missy constantly shows them getting messages and Quasha to lengthen. What? Oh, Missy is a 2 times Arnold champion. I'm glad you clarified. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you just said. Okay. Yeah, it's nonsense. Messages? You mean massages? Yeah, muscle building doesn't affect if you don't train. If you don't practice mobility, guess what you're not going to be? Mobile. Why? Mobility is adaptation too. Taking muscles through a full range of motion. Yoga, why do you think, how many of you started doing yoga, practicing yoga once you joined the Swole fam? Remember the first time you did Swolga or a yoga class inside Swolenormous X? Oh my God. You do it for a year, all of a sudden you're doing shit you never thought. Why? Because you adapted to that kind of stress. That's it. Just adaptations, different types of adaptations. Right? The first time you ever learned how to play guitar or piano. How many of you used to play guitar? I've dabbled in the past. At the beginning, your fingertips hurt, they're sore, but you do a little bit, you get a little sore the next time you do it. Eventually, you have the calluses on the tips and you don't feel the pain. Or like the first time you do, you're like, oh my God, your hands are sore because you're like, it's this fucking weird grip, right? So your muscles and your finger and your hands ache. Yeah, but over time, it goes away. It's adaptation. You do it a little bit all the time. If you just play the guitar out of 0 and you just practice for 15 hours, you might get tendonitis and have issues for several weeks because you overdid it. But if you do a little bit and then repair, a little bit and repair, otherwise your fingers are going to bleed and then you're not going to build that callus. But do a little bit, relax a little bit, you know. Same thing with anything else. You're going to get this awkward. First time you do yoga, your bottoms of your feet might hurt, all these different muscles that never worked before and stabilized before. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. By the way, here's the church. Aww. Very cute. All right, let's give away today's Swole card. Just went extra deep with the knowledge cock today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Everyone was pretty quiet, which usually happens either if I put people to sleep or everyone was listening. But hopefully when you think about training and you think about this kind of stuff, it's essential that you understand how the body works, because then it gives you purpose. Again, if you're training with intent, that's how you're going to get results. You have to train with intent. And a lot of people just train to train. They just do shit to be fatigued. They go to a spin class. They go to a spin class, what? They go to a spin class to feel exhausted. They want to feel so fucking tired their brain can't think about anything. That's not a goal, right? A lot of people that do these cardio classes, yeah, they're still fat for a fucking reason. Your body adapts to things and you're just exhausted all the time because you're not repairing and you're not creating any kind of like systemic overload or muscular local overload that you're actually going to adapt to. A lot of people just fatigue themselves. They go to the gym to forget about their life because they don't meditate. So they do that to exhaust themselves so they don't have to think about things for a little bit. So they're compartmentalizing. They're trying just to exhaust themselves so they decrease their stress, but they're just kind of like putting on the back burner, not really decreasing stress. They're actually adding more stress because they're doing too much fatigue and so on and so forth. So hopefully that kind of opened some different avenues and explained a lot. All right. Time for me to go make some sick fuck gains. Shut the fuck up and go to the fucking gym. Let's give away today's Swole card. Super deep, super long. Way over time. So let's fucking go. We'll be back here tomorrow. All right. We got a winner. Well done, Robin. Shut the fuck up and go to the fucking gym. All right. Absolutely, definitely rigged. Definitely fucking rigged. Am I right? Am I right, Matt? Fucking absolutely rigged. Rigged. Absolutely rigged. Robin sends an email to support@swolenormous.com, Swole card 2643. In the subject, your mailing address, and the body of the email will send you today's Swole card. Thank you for playing, everybody. Thank you for playing, everybody. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed. I know we went really long. I know we didn't do shit posts, but there's no shortage of shit posts on the Mancast. And if we're going deep, we're going hard, this will happen. It's all your fault. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. The Daily Swole today was big mind gains. Thank you, Swole Master. Thank you, Andrew, for being here. Appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if that didn't get you amped to make some fucking gains today, if that didn't get you amped to go and just train fucking hard, ooh, I don't know. You might be broken. Your brain might be broken. Daddy want belly rubs? You wanted belly rubs from Daddy? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I look over and she was just waiting for it. I got one-handed piano right here. Oh. Look at some bellies. Look at that pink suede belly. It's like suede. So smooth and sticky. One-handed. Oh! I need two hands for this. Look at the toe beans. Look at the toe beans. So cute.
What is a best move to silence a woman?
No eye contact. Stop looking. Coast to coast. No eye contact. She's still there. Aww. All right. This might. God damn it. I might have. I can't. I have to stop. Okay. You're so cute. Everyone that's like, I want to rub the belly too. Trust me, you do. It's so warm. It's so warm. Why is your belly so warm? Look at it. Look at the nipples. Look at the little nips. Look at the little nippies. She likes it. She likes it. You're a nasty hoe. You're a nasty. You nasty. You nasty. Okay. All right, come on. You're on camera. Close your legs. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. She's like, I don't want to. I don't want to respect myself. There you go. There you go. Nice. Took you a while. Respect yourself. All right. Right back to the belly. All right, fam. Thanks for being here. Hopefully that knowledge cock was entertaining. Hopefully it filled your ear holes and your eye holes and all of those. Hopefully it filled all of your holes. And we'll be back here tomorrow. Remember, join the fam today. If you want to start Maximum Swole, you want to put all this shit into practice, I'm telling you, join us inside Swolenormous X. We have everything you need to crush your 7 pillars. Make those sick fucking gains. Join us today. We'll see you inside, and we'll be back here tomorrow. And then, hey, we'll see. Don't worry. The shit posts are not going anywhere. I promise you. Peace, McGee's. Deuce Magoose, your boy Papa Swolio. Out.
Crazy flow, need a straight jacket. Cash flow, I'm a bank addict. 6 subs, had the bass smacking. 808s, had the place clapping. 3 girls is enough for me, so I pull out like the stock's crashing. Like an IPO, trying to purchase me. This a private sector, so you can't have it. Faking all that boom bapping. Who you think you is, boy? 90s want they sound back, so I give rap all these fake rappers as I take matters in my own hands. I don't need rapping, I don't need Zans. I don't need help, I'm a grown man. Now the king left and they so mad, it's like
Then yeah, I found that young king with my crown at 10 racks in the fanny pack, couple hundred in the Louis bag.
that's a bed that you made. That's a bed that you made. That's the bed that you laid. What kind of game is you playing? We go hard in the paint, you. What the fuck is you saying? I only go where they pay. What kind of game is you playing? Yeah, whoa, my shit is relevant. On topic, my melanin is popping. I'm taking skeletons on closets and making new deposits. I'm in my element.